Good evening, class. I want to start my speech by creating an image for you guys. Well, imagine this. You wake up and soon realize that it's 8 a.m. in the morning. You have to jump up from bed and get ready for your 9 to 5 job, which is 30 minutes away from where you live. You begin to stress because now, you might be late for work, but before that happens, you leave and start driving to work. While you're driving down I-695, you hit traffic. It is at this moment where you become red, your blood begins to boil. Now you're angry because now you're certain that you will be late for work. Despite all efforts, you do arrive late to work, and your manager in return, scolds you. They get mad at you. Now you realize that it's a very stressful day. And to add to your stress, sadly, towards the end of closing time, you get two obnoxious customers that just won't leave you alone. Now, you realize that this has been a very, very, very stressful day that you wouldn't want to relive. Anyways, going back home, you decide to turn on the radio, and then on the radio, there's a song called 24K Magic by Bruno Mars. You start singing it and begin to forget all about the day. From the top of your lungs, you be singing 24K Magic in the air, and, you just forget it. As soon as you arrive home, you shower and decide to put on some music again. Now it's more of a slow song. Now, with this slow song, it calms you down and makes you fall asleep. Now, how can this happen? How can a simple song change your mood in an instant? Well, while researching my topic, I learned that although we might not know it, music holds a strong power on us. Today, I will inform you about the psychological and physiological benefits of listening to music and how our body responds to it. To understand how our emotional state can change with a simple song, we need to understand how our brain works. How can we do that, you ask? Well, the brain is composed of 12 different parts that perform different functions when listening to music. These parts of the brain include the temporal lobe, Broca's area, Wernicke's area, occipital lobe, cerebellum, nucleus accumbens, amygdala, hippocampus, corpus callosum, and the putamen. For the sake of time, we will only focus on 3 that deal with music and emotions. These areas are the Wernicke's area, nucleus accumbens, and the amygdala. Well, in the article How the Brain Responds to Music, the authors Kiminibo Sugaya, a neuroscientist, and Ayako Yonetani, a world-renowned violinist, explain how the Wernicke's area helps us with comprehension, written, and spoken language, and it is part responsible for analyzing and enjoying music. The nucleus accumbens is the area that is associated with seeking pleasure and rewards and plays a vital role in addiction. Well, let's think about it. Music can essentially be categorized as a drug because it releases dopamine, which in the nucleus accumbens, which is similar effect that cocaine has on the brain. The amygdala is responsible for the processes and triggers of emotions. This area in specific is the area that controls your fears and turns on your fight or flight response and increases pleasure. Now that we have learned about how our brain works, let's discuss how music can help us with emotions and stress. We had previously talked about how the nucleus accumbens plays a vital role in seeking pleasure and reward. In the article, music can be a great mood booster. It is stated that research shows that music can be beneficial effect on brain chemicals such as dopamine, which is linked to the feelings of pleasure, and oxytocin, the so-called love hormone. And there is moderate evidence that shows that music can help lower levels of stress hormone, cortisol. The fact that our brain lowers levels of stress cortisol explains why, after a long and stressful day, we can calm down and enjoy the moment when we listen to music. That is because it is in that moment where we perceive music as a form of pleasure and the reward that we've been looking for. To understand our bodily responses furthermore, a list of professors from different schools and different education backgrounds in the sciences and psychology department have done extensive research to understand the psychological effects of music when it is used as a stimulant. Professors Paula Dabrowski, Anne Snipchild, Jennifer Robinson and Sarah Stevenson conducted an experiment to understand how different songs affect the human body and in a psychological and physiological level. The experiment consisted of 88 students that were enrolled in music and science courses at Auburn University. These subjects were fitted with respiration belt, 2 electrodermal activity electrodes, and 2 electrocardiogram electrodes, all while being asked to listen to 2 types of music. Song 1, The Rite of Spring of Igor Stravinsky, and Song 2, Gymnopédie No. 1 by Eric Satie. When analyzing their findings, Bobrowski, Schnipschow, Robinson, and Stevenson stated that measures of sympathetic nervous system activity were higher during Song 1 than they were in Song 2. For those that don't know, the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for your fight or flight responses, which, if you remember, we associated with the amygdala back when I started talking about the brains part. In the research article, Bobrowski, Schnipschow, Robinson, and Stevenson also stated that psychological results were analogous to the psychological results from the physiological results from the emotion surveys. In their findings, they noticed that students felt more alert, attentive, and excited during Song 1 and relaxed, calm, and interested during Song 2. When concluding their experiment, they found that overall more people showed aroused responses in terms of psychological and physiological activities during the more complex song, which was song number 1. Music has played a vital role in the psychological professional field. In the book Music, A Social Experience, written by Stephen Cornelius, who currently teaches at the University of Massachusetts, and Mary Netbig, a professor of music history at Bowling Green State University. In this book, we learned that therapists successfully used melodic therapy to facilitate speech recovery for former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was injured in the 2011 shooting in Tucson, Arizona. What is melodic therapy, you may ask? Well, melodic intonation therapy is a speech-language therapy that uses melodic rhythmic components to purportedly assist in speech recovery. This method has been used to help people with aphasia, which is a condition that degrades language capability. This shows another aspect of music, not the typical one of just relaxing, but the aspect of music that is helpful for those in need. Music intonation therapy is helping people that are affected by speech impediments, and it is to show the power it holds. In conclusion, today I have informed you of the psychological and physiological effects of listening to music. In this speech, I have discussed the different parts of the brain that are affected by auditory stimulants and how these parts function. How music helps reduce stress hormones, and it is used in therapy for those people with speech impediment. We have also dived into the past research that has been conducted to understand the psychological and physiological effects of music on humans. Understanding these psychological and physiological effects of music can help us in the moments of depression, sickness, and stress. So next time you have a stressful day, put on some music and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much.